Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ferndale City Council meeting for Monday, January 28th, 2013. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Galloway?
Here.
Lennon?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
Piana? Here. And Mayor Coulter?
Here, yes, thank you. We have a quorum this evening. The next item of business would be the approval of the agenda.
I'd move that we accept the agenda as presented.
I think City Manager has potentially changes to the agenda.
I do. Yes. I ask to remove presentation, year in review, and consent agenda C, please.
To pull those from the agenda, not put them in the regular.
Yeah,
pull them.
no, just pull them completely, please.
I support with the changes.
And Councilman Martin, you're fine with
Yes.
the changes? All right, so moved by Martin, supported by Piana. Any discussion on the agenda this evening? As amended. No, yeah, that's still part of the agenda. Yes. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Galloway?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
And Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. The agenda is approved. If council will allow me, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege before we continue the meeting this evening. Ferndale is mourning the loss today of a very special resident and really one of our most active volunteers. Dennis Hopner passed away this morning after a relatively short struggle with cancer. A lot of you know Dennis was active in our senior groups. He was active in almost every community project you can imagine. In fact, he was last year's Ferndale Citizen of the Year. He enriched our city and the lives of everyone who knew him, and our thoughts and prayers are with his wife Marty and his family this evening. If you didn't know Dennis personally, you probably know him as a regular here at City Council, and he spoke often at Call the Audience, especially on a topic that he was very passionate about, which was the importance of voting. In memory of Dennis, I'd like to share a brief video clip of him speaking just a little over a year ago on that topic.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Dennis Hepner. I live at 766 Flowerdale, Ferndale. It saddens me that we as American citizens have so much apathy for the thousands of lives around the world that are lost in fighting for the freedom to elect officials of their choice. They are jailed or shot because they dare to protest. One bright spot, as you may have seen on the news tonight, is the country of Tunisia. The people who started the Arab Spring shared one of its earliest fruits on Sunday, a free election. Tunisians, who brought down a dictator 9 months ago, waited for hours to select those who will help shape their fledgling democracy. It was the first free election in the history of Tunisia. One citizen even said, if I have to stand in line for 24 hours, I will not give up the chance to savor this era of freedom. They expect 90% of registered voters, that's 90%, to vote. In America, we have the right to protest and even recall elected officials. In some elections, only 10 to 15% of the registered voters go to the polls on election day. So I ask the voters of Ferndale on November 8th, do not take your freedom and your rights for granted. Go to the polls and vote for the candidate of your choice. Thank you.
Well said, sir. Dennis will be missed. Thank you for indulging me in that. Tribute to Dennis. Our next item of business this evening is presentations, and we'll go to the second presentation, which is our Downtown Development Authority. I see a number of board members and the executive director here, Christine.
Yes, good evening, and thanks for having us. We like to always give you a monthly update, but this month, and we usually do this every year, is to give you our year-end stats. So we're talking about 2012 and what we accomplished this past year. So in 2012, great strides, I think, have been made with business. You start to see businesses improving and growing, and many businesses actually expanding and creating secondary businesses within our own downtown, which is a great thing to see. It really shows that we're growing strong and moving in the right direction for the future. There was over $4.7 million of public and private reinvestment in downtown Ferndale in 2012. With that, there were 27 building rehabilitations, and 25 new businesses opened up shop, netting us 10 new businesses in total, which is really good. We continue to want to see our retention efforts increase, and we continue each year to improve that. So those are some good stats to know. As well as jobs that were created, there were over 278 jobs that were created, netting 225. So as little downtowns, we are the mighty ones in building our workforce in our state. And a very important thing to keep small businesses in mind, because we make up a majority of the workforce. As for events for our downtown, we're a very busy downtown. We like to have a lot of fun. There was 27 events in total throughout the year, both small and large. Keeps all of us busy, I'm sure, especially us here at the DDA, but many of our businesses really help to make this happen, and our local citizens themselves. Many of the residents and businesses actually put these events together, so it doesn't all have to come out of one organization, which is really what makes our downtown great. As well as, I wanted to note that there was over 6,600 volunteer hours out of the DDA itself. We generally range from 30 to 40 volunteers working in unison throughout the year, but this was a very busy year, and when we kind of look back at what we've accomplished, it kind of takes your breath away a little bit, and there are many things that we have done, including the Troy and Allen redesign of that intersection, and our Art Town project, which brought 11 sculptures throughout the district, as well as really highlighting the other art that already exists within it as well. We added on-street bike parking and installed a little bit of art with that as well. And we made some improvements to the pedestrian alley on South 9 Mile leading to Troy Street. And last but not least this year, and these are only the highlights, but we've partnered with the city in making parking improvements. We are seeing consistently more and more things that are good growth within the parking system. But upcoming, we have more to do, and within the next 6 months, you'll obviously see some significant projects that will be happening. The West 9 Mile Streetscape Enhancement Project, which we received some grant funding for, over $500,000 to do that, and the city is contributing that match to make that project happen. Also, parking is underway with our Park Plus system, and you'll see that actually today we installed 3 lots, parking space numbers, so they are starting to slowly come up online. It'll happen over the next 2 weeks, and you'll have to, pardon us during our construction period, because there will be some little intermittent, interruptions to the system, but be patient, and we're going to be patient as well. We're going to be, very relaxed and informative to make sure people are comfortable when using the system. And you'll also see from the DDA a new website that will be introduced in the next couple months, hopefully by March is our goal. And probably by fall, we'll be making a selection on 2 permanent art pieces from the collection of the Art Town exhibits. Just to name a few businesses that came in: Woodward Imperial, John D. Bistro, One Eye Betty's, Found Sound, IMAX Printing, and Local. All amazing, great businesses, and many more in the list that I could read off, but I would probably be up here for another 2 minutes. So last but not least, I wanted to acknowledge the fact that we've had some changes within the DDA with our staff, as well as our DDA Board of Directors, our Executive Board. First off, with our staff, we have added another person to the crew, and her name is Martha Potier, and she is our program manager. She'll be focusing on business development and design for the organization, and adding in, honestly, at a time when we really needed an extra person in the office to do a lot of these projects. So we're very excited to have her on board. We worked very hard and diligently today to get to meet a deadline, so she went home exhausted. But I wanted to then introduce a few members of our executive board who were nominated at our annual planning meeting last week, which we held at the Kulik Center, and thanks to the city for allowing us to use the facility again. The goal planning session that we go through is a 5-hour bonanza of brainstorming and prioritizing, and we appreciate everybody, and I know many of you attended. We really appreciate your attendance and your input because it really helps us to put together a strong repertoire for the year. So members of our executive board, we have a new chairperson, Mr. Michael Hennis from House Bayou. If you want to stand up. Vice Chairperson, Dean Bach from Dino's. Our Secretary, John McQuiggan from Level 1 Bank. And here, not here tonight, is Stacy Toba, who is a resident, who will be serving as the treasurer. So, anything you guys want to say? No, they're all in like barbecue mode and blues and everything. So, so thank you for your time tonight. And if you have any questions, call us at the office, or you can check us out online at downtownferndale.com. Thanks.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
You mentioned that you're making the final selection of the 2 pieces of permanent art. How what is that selection process?
Well, we still have to kind of outline everything for the public, but we do intend to have the public help us narrow down the selection. We're going to put together then a criteria and a committee that will then make the final selection of those 2 pieces based on location and really a public priority of what they thought would be the best pieces of art for our downtown.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
You know, the Red Ram started out as my least favorite piece, and it's moved very high up the list.
I was thinking of making buttons, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just me.
You're a Red Ram fan.
That's just me. I've become one over time.
Converted?
I have. Huh?
You've converted?
I have.
You should go climb on it.
I don't think that's allowed, Councilman. All right, our next item of business is a public hearing on a microbrewer and small wine maker license for Ohm Cafe LLC. This was tabled from our January 14th meeting. Before I open it up to the public, because I know the public has said, well, maybe you could introduce what it's about before you actually ask us if we have comments. City Manager,
We're going to take Deputy
Marty?
Clerk will take it.
City Clerk, are you prepared to do that? I know you're pinch hitting at the last minute. Are you prepared
Well,
to at least introduce the item?
I have Sherilyn's memo.
Okay. That will suffice.
And so Ohm Cafe is requesting a microbrewer and small winemaker license for their location at 23136 Woodward. And Council's resolution of April 27, 2007, concerning the process for liquor license transfers, does not technically require a public hearing for small winemaker's license, but in the interest of having it consistent with every other liquor license public hearing, Sherilyn has noticed it to all of the surrounding properties and other liquor license holders. The Police Department and Community and Economic Development Department have concluded their investigations and both recommend approval of the application.
All right, thank you. And I do believe we have a gentleman from Ohm Cafe. You want to just come up and introduce yourself and just say any remarks that you'd like to make? Mostly, we just wanted you to come in and say hi. And
I appreciate that. I'm sorry I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. I'm Jason Thibodeau. My mom's the one who started the Home Cafe in 1985, so we've been here for a while. The idea behind getting a small beer-making license, wine license, is so that we can offer just an expanded experience to our guests so that they can have beer and wine with their dinner. It's pretty much the gist of it. We're not looking to sell it outside of there. We're not looking at doing more. It's probably about 5 gallons per month, so it's not a very intensive process. But we are a vegetarian health food restaurant, so we're more geared towards a healthier kind of lifestyle. But we feel that adding the beer and wine will be a nice addition.
thank you. I'm going to give council a chance after the public hearing to ask questions, but first I now need to open it up to the public. So I will open up the public hearing on this request. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address council on the request from Home Cafe this evening? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing portion, and I will ask council if they have any questions or comments or concerns of Mr. Thibodeau on this item.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We asked you to come in mostly because we like to meet and talk with the folks who are getting these licenses and just hear a little bit about what you're up to. But
Thank you. No, I'm glad I got to do it, and I also wanted to make a note that it is noticeable what the Downtown Development Agency is doing. I'm noticing it, so thank you for that.
appreciate that
Thank you.
as well.
Right. I move to recommend to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission approval of the request from Home Cafe LLC for a micro brewer and small winemaker license to be located at 23136 Woodward Avenue, Ferndale, Oakland County, Michigan.
Support.
Moved by Piana, supported by Lennon. Any further discussion or comments on this item? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Council members Lennon,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Piana,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Thank you very much. Next agenda item would be call to audience. Call to audience is 30 minutes now, more time later if we need it, for up to 3 minutes for anyone in the audience to speak on any subject that they like that's not on the agenda, because you'd get an opportunity to speak on that when we get to the agenda. So if there's anyone from the audience that would like to come up, please just give us your name and your address, or write your address down on the back sheet if you're not comfortable saying it on television. Anyone from the public that would like to address council this evening? Good evening.
Good evening. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough. This weather's messing with me. Could I hand something out to the...
Yeah, hand it to our clerk and she can pass it down to us. That would be great.
Great. All right.
State your name for us so we know who you are.
I'm Sally Wenzel. I'm at 1566 West Saratoga. And I'm here to talk to you about the State Fair property, which is adjacent to Ferndale. But there's something going on there that I think you'd all, unless you already know about it, maybe you do, but I'd like to tell you what's going on there. The State Fair, excuse me, Detroit Regional Transit-Oriented Development, or a 1990s suburban shopping center. Within the next few weeks, by mid-February, the 157-acre State Fair property in Detroit, just across 8 Mile at Woodward Avenue, owned by the taxpayers of Michigan, may be transferred for free at no cost to a private developer, Magic Plus LLC, to build an outdated 1990s big box strip mall, which I'm sure you're against. I don't know. Well, the reason I'm speaking tonight is because I'm a firm believer in downtown small businesses. I actually write for Ferndale Friends, and I do a lot of business profiles. So this is why I'm speaking about this tonight. The current Magic LLC plan is an outdated old economy big box center with scattered restaurants, drive-around buildings, and has 42 acres of property paved as parking lots. It creates a few real jobs of no regional importance and has no connection to the inevitable Center for Regional Passenger Rail, bus rapid transit, and local bus routes at 8 Mile Road and Woodward Avenue. The proposed MAGIC plan has nothing to do with strategic economic development or even the governor's own initiative about placemaking that he's been promoting to make Michigan's new economy development model globally competitive, to keep existing talent in our state and invite new people and innovators to Michigan. A group of local citizens, the State Fairgrounds Development Coalition, you can also find them on Facebook. It's under the Future of the Michigan State Fairgrounds, if you'd like to read about our meeting times, has a bigger vision for the future use of the property. The Meta Expo, which is the map right in front of you, Mayor. The Meta Expo, Michigan Energy, Technology, and Agriculture. What can Michigan show the world? A transit-oriented development, multimodal mixed-use center to showcase Michigan businesses, universities, and entrepreneurialism at the global level, including regional transit, exposition and entertainment venues, technology, green energy, blue water systems, mixed use. You can follow along. I'm sure you can read it all.
The 3 minutes goes really fast.
I know. I'm going to
Actually
skip ahead.
there, so just, yeah.
I just want to let everyone know that there is an alternative plan that the media is not covering. And it's slowly the word is getting out. I think Crane's Detroit Business had an article in Metro Times. But I just really want Ferndale residents to know what's going on, because the State Fairgrounds is right across the road from us, and it's going to affect us greatly. So,
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Sally? I think you and I should meet and have a conversation.
Okay, great.
We'll connect. I got your number here.
Yep, email me, call me, or we can talk after the meeting. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Julie Music, 497 West Troy. Council, Mayor, I stand before you tonight to make some kind remarks about our city's departed friend, Dennis Hopner. Dennis spoke before council often, and I was particularly fond of his speeches prior to voting day. Without fail, Dennis would stand before council and the at-home audience to remind us to be responsible citizens and vote. His voice, barely a whisper, would silence a room. It wasn't just a hush that would come over the audience that was so impressive. Fingers would stop clicking on keyboards, cell phones were placed by our sides, and the room leaned forward to hear the powerful words that came from such a soft voice. Though each speech carried the same message, that we should vote, he also reminded us that living in a democracy offers us the luxury of making progress to live in a more civil society because we can vote. He often reflected on the progress that he had witnessed in his lifetime, working on desegregation, women's rights, and equal rights for the queer community. In his quivering voice that cancer would not steal from him, he reminded us to speak loudly with our voices in the voting booth. His speeches never failed to send shivers down my spine while reminding me how privileged I am to live amongst Ferndalians who have worked so tirelessly so that I can have the rights of a fair and just society. Dennis was a man who truly shaped the great city of Ferndale into the progressive city that I am proud to call my home. I'm grateful to have heard his speeches, and I've been inspired by volunteering by his side. I hope tonight that Dennis is finally enjoying a slice of pizza and a beverage without the interference of a feeding tube, as I am sure that heaven looks a lot like Como's and the TV is turned to a council meeting.
Thank you, Julia. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to address council this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda as amended. The item A, consent agenda is items that council considers routine, and we enact with one motion unless council wishes to pull something from the agenda. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held January 14th, 2013. B, approval to reappoint Sharon Stahl as a regular member of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a term ending December 31st, 2015. D, approval of the addendum to the Specialized Services Vehicle Agreement and authorization for the mayor or designate to sign the agreement. E, approval to pay Oakway MABAS Mutual Aid Membership memberships invoice for a total of $5,000 as submitted by the fire chief. Approval of ordinance number 1136 regarding amendments to Chapter 18, Traffic and Motor Vehicle Code, Article 7, prepaid permit parking, as submitted by the city manager. Approval of the bills and payroll as submitted by the city manager's office, subject to the review of the council finance committee. What is council's pleasure on the consent agenda this evening?
I move to adopt the consent agenda as stated.
Support.
Moved by Lennon, supported by Martin. Is there any comments, discussion, questions on the consent agenda from either council or the public? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Martin,
Yes.
Piana,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Lennon,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to the regular agenda, item A is consideration to appoint James Bruckman as a regular member of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a term ending December 31st, 2015. Derek, is there anything that you want to say about, I believe you helped bring him forward, is that correct? And I should mention, by the way, that Mr. Bruckner was not able to be here this evening, although he did submit a letter for everyone on council briefly stating his background and his interest in serving. And Derek, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, the only thing I can add to the letter that he provided is I have known Jim for several years and have encouraged him to submit in the past. And when the opportunity presented itself, he did. I know he's got a ton of background in TIF financing, whether it's through Brownfield authorities or downtown development authorities, so he certainly has the experience. He's been a long-time planner in the region, and I think he would make an excellent addition. So unless there's any specific questions, that's
Any questions or comments of council of Derek while he's here?
I think he's an excellent appointment.
Good. Thanks, Derek. Then a motion would be in order.
I move to confirm the appointment of James Bruckman as a regular member of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a term ending December 31st, 2015.
Support.
Moved by Piana, supported by Martin. Any discussion or questions on that item? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Council members Piana,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Lennon,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That appointment is adopted. Moving on to regular agenda, item B would be the consideration to renew the TIA membership, and that was also tabled from our January 14th meeting. There's a representative, right, from TIA here. I thought you looked familiar. And we asked you to come back just to sort of give us an update on the kinds of work that you've done and the value that you're providing to communities like Ferndale. So we appreciate that you're here this evening.
Not a problem.
Give us your name again. I know you were here last year. But
Yeah, Jim Sansoy. I'm the Executive Director of the Traffic Improvement Association of Michigan, and it's a pleasure to be here again. So I want to thank you, Honorable Mayor and Honorable Council members. I actually have a letter, if I can drop this off to the clerk there.
That'd be great.
She can distribute
Sure.
it. Yeah, and as you see in the letter, as you receive that, it's got a summary from our traffic engineering group on a lot of the projects that we've done throughout 2012. What I'll do is, I don't know if there's any new council members on here as of recent, or is everybody pretty familiar with TIA?
I was here January last year.
Okay. I can't remember. I know we gave a
So I
presentation.
think we're all veterans since the last time we were here.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you can see, again, I want to emphasize, we do a lot of work with the police department here, the Department of Public Works, and also the DDA, mainly traffic engineering related. Again, we don't influence policy decisions of the city. We're here to provide assistance for your projects. We collect traffic data such as volumes, speeds. Our engineer goes out, he'll look at a wide variety of details at different locations. And again, that data is used to assist your community on completing your initiatives that you're currently working on. I know Dave's done a lot of work recently on pedestrian and bicycle initiatives as well. And you know, I can honestly say, looking over a lot of these different projects that they've been working on with your employees, that you guys are very innovative here, and you guys should be proud to have the great group of people that you have working on these projects. I don't know if you want me to go through each project, because again,
I don't think so.
Dave.
Maybe we could just open it up if there's any questions or comments the council has. That would probably be satisfactory. So So I'll open it up to council. Is there anyone on council that has any questions or issues, concerns for Jim?
Well, I just wanted to reiterate what I said at the last meeting, was that I was the one who expressed concerns when I first got on council in 2009, and I think the TIA responded and showed us what types of services we were getting for our membership, and I think they have significantly improved, and I was pretty clear that my philosophical leanings are quite different from the TIA's, but I understand staff use this service and want this service.
You know, Mayor, I understand Melanie makes a good point, but I remember years ago when I was an officer, we used TIA quite frequently, and they were very useful in the police department. I'm sure the chief would reiterate that too. He was paying attention, but he's not, so. You got embarrassed is what you did.
We called you out, but it's fine, Chief. For watching the show. And just for the residents' information, he handed out a letter of the various projects that he's worked with on the city. I'll ask the city clerk to put this on the website so that all the residents are able to view the projects that you've worked with us on this year.
Excellent.
Any other comments or questions of council?
Well, my only comment would be, Mr. Santilli, that we very much appreciate you coming. Sort of, whenever we're a member of an association, we like that they get, some monies from us. We like to have annual reports, sort of see what's been going on in the last year, get an update for ourselves and our citizens. So I'm not sure that asking you to come here is anything unusual, but we sure appreciate it, and
Oh, not a problem.
would like it to continue in years going forward. This kind
Definitely.
of
Like I said, you guys, I know you have an obligation to the taxpayers, and, anything we can do to demonstrate our value is, a good thing for both ends, so.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Your report helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no further questions or comments, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
We don't have a motion.
Oh, did we get a motion? We didn't get a motion yet. Sorry.
Move to approve the city's 2013 community membership in the Traffic Improvement Association and to charge the expense of $5,900 to the Major Streets Fund membership and dues, account number 202000958.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Martin, supported by Galloway. Any last discussion? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Councilmembers Galloway,
Yes.
Lennon,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Piana,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Again, thank you, gentlemen, for coming down this evening. Our final agenda item this evening is item C, consideration of agreement with Plant Moran Cressa for assistance with the Police and 43rd District Court Building renovation project. And April McGrath, I think you're going to introduce that item.
I am. What you have before you is a request to engage Plant Moran Cressa in helping us as we move forward with our police and courthouse renovation project. As we all remember, back in November, we both the police chief and the judge were able to deliver some information on the state of both of those buildings, and we agreed that at this point, over the last 12 years, we've been putting money away in our building fund to prepare for this exact day, which is to start moving forward with renovations on both buildings. This is a fairly large process, even though it's considerably a much smaller project than originally slated for back in, I think, 2009, but it's still large nevertheless, as we're looking at about a $2 million project in totality. So with that, it's important that we have the tools necessary to make this project successful and in budget, and that's going to be quite the task of doing this project in the budget that we have. So one of the components to this is working with Plant Moran Cressa, who is here if we have any further questions, to be what we consider, or what is called an owner representation, or representative, if you will. And a lot of communities use them as a tool and have used others as a tool for this exact project. So they will be instrumental in helping us design a budget, making sure that we stay on budget, helping us develop a schedule and a scope of service that's going to, again, make this project successful. Their whole purpose is to ensure that the city is represented fairly in every phase of this project that we deem necessary. In particular, some of the items that we know that we'd like to use them for is helping us to determine the architect that we're going to use that can meet our needs, help establish business terms in the contract, and establishing a standard of care. They will also be on hand to look at project costs by ensuring that we are getting the market rate and help during the construction procurement. So again, it's all important to this, again, very large project. At the time we are done with the planning phase, which is what we're using them for, we will then determine if we need or desire their assistance during the construction phase. And as we go through this process, at that point, we'll make that determination and look at staff that can help manage that project as well. So the point of the matter is, again, to have them help us through this process, keep us on budget, make sure we have the right scope, and that in the end, this is a successful project that ends where we need it to be. So with that, I open the floor for questions, and as well, as I said, we do have a representative from CRESA here.
Are there questions of council?
I have a couple. Can you clarify about the qualification process? Because in the proposal, it speaks about the two firms, Newman, Smith, and Redstone Architects. What exactly does that qualification process entail, and what is the advantage of a third party to do it for us?
Sure, absolutely. One of the things is we're doing a project of this size, and feel free to jump in. Sure. Is that it's not comparing apples to apples. It's a very intense process that what will happen is CRESA will help establish what our criteria are and match the qualifications of that firm. So for instance, we're going to look at our schedule, our scope of service, our budget, and marry those to an architect that can help us move that process along. They'll help us pick the architect that has the best team to meet our needs, which again include all of those different moving parts. So for instance, one firm might not be able to start this project for 6 more months where we're ready to go now, or vice versa. The other thing is that fees, again, it's not going to be just a, here are all the fees and they match. It's going to be, in this project, one architect might have fees that are allocated in a different way than another architect. So it's a way for them to help us process that information to make sure, again, that we have that right team in place to make this project successful.
And we don't have the scope or the depth to do that?
No, I don't believe it.
Okay. And then I just want to, point out as well, this is an hourly contract with a financial cap, not a percent revenue of the project?
That is correct. So I know that question has come up that instead of doing a percent of the total cost of the project, it will be per hour based on services that we request from them. So it's not as if the more we add onto the project, the more money they get paid. It is per hour, and it is, again, requested support that the team itself asks them for.
So one of the potential benefits would be then with their expertise, we would see cost savings possibly
Yes.
in the procurement of material.
And that is
such.
very common in this situation.
Another item, if I may add, and thank you for the introduction. I think you should stand here.
Thank you.
One of the other items that we really strive for is the contractual language that we ask the architects and the contractors to sign. It's a very modified version of a standard American Institute of Architects contract, which typically from a normal architectural firm or contractor you wouldn't get. So what we're getting is a very owner-sided contract that protects the municipality much further than you would in a standard architect. So it's a very tight document, and those are one of the items that we present to the architects and the contractors when, just before the interviews. So it's another added level of protection that the city's getting that you normally wouldn't see. On top of that, kind of, Ms. Lynch alluded to it, we're overseeing, $1.6 billion in construction, in procurement and construction in and of itself. We know the numbers. We know where the estimates are lying. We know where the contractors are at with these budgets. So we're really adept at really understanding what the budget really means and what you can really hit and what you can't. So no surprises at the end of a project, and that's really, I think, what we really strive for. So, and you may ask any of the municipalities or any of the owners that we've worked with, that's what you get. You get that no surprises, that what we say is what you get on time and on budget truly is the case.
And I apologize I didn't introduce you. This is Gino Del Pup, and he is going to be, you'll see him a lot, I think, in this project.
Yeah, I'll be acting as program manager alongside Paul Wills with the project.
So according to the contract, if I may, you've got a blended rate in there over the course of 6 months, which equates to about 12.5 work hours per week, and that's, you feel, sufficient for the scope of Phase 1?
Sure. Yeah, we're doing similar projects. Actually, City of Westland, we're doing another project with them, a city municipality renovation of a much larger scale, which it's about double the time on that, but as we're looking through both projects, 12 hours a week is perfect for this size, $2 million project. Yeah.
Any other questions of clarification? We can get into discussion after there's a motion, but is there any other questions of fact or clarification that council has?
No.
Then a motion would be in order to further discuss this item.
You want to go ahead?
I would move that we approve the contract with Plant Moran Cressa as owner representative for the renovation project of the District Court and Police Building, and direct the city manager to execute the proposed engagement letter dated January 28, 2013, charged to the public improvement account of it.
Support.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Lennon. Now, any comments, questions, concerns of council?
I just want to say, Councilman Martin asked a lot of my financial questions, and I think those were adequately covered. I just want to make sure that by signing this agreement, this project is going forward. We're not, this is it. This is the green go button.
In fact, I hope to bring on February 25th the request to engage the architect.
Okay.
So we're moving.
Just so council knows, Councilman Galloway and myself are the liaison committee on this project with the city manager and with the folks from Cressa and our city attorney. And, I mean, Councilman Martin, to your point about the expertise being in staff, you know, on staff, you know, there's a lot of skills in that room, and we hired April because she's got a lot of great qualifications, but planning the construction of a $2 million project is not really one of them. And I think our feeling was that just to protect the interests of the taxpayers in this town, to make sure that we're on budget and we get what we pay for and we know what we're even asking for, it's prudent to have a representative like Cressa to make sure they're looking after our interests and catching the things that we don't know to catch. So,
if I may, I think for a set 2%, you know, reflection of the total cost, that's a reasonable security to make. You know, I think the reason in question that you know, we ask a lot of the financial questions is, you know, construction projects, like everything else, has a tendency to run costs. And
that's right.
The city's worked very hard to save the money to do these renovations, so I'm kind of particularly concerned about cost overrun.
Absolutely. As are we. Yep.
I appreciate you answering my question.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I'm going to ask a project management thing, but I'm sure you guys do risk management as part of this too, right? Do you, as part of your whole process?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what, you know, our tagline is really mitigating the risk. So it's we're overseeing, making sure that we're not doing anything adversarial, anything beyond scope. But yeah, we're project managers through the heart. So
in this engagement, I know we've said this ends at the end of the planning phase, right?
Yes, if we want to do construction, we'll bring back another contract.
And what is the duration of this phase one? What are you expecting?
Like 6 to 8 months, but probably closer to 6, depending on how quickly we want to really move. And as we get into it, that first meeting, we'll probably have a better feel for how the schedule is going to look. But we do, in early discussions, it seems like it's going to be a one-phase project, one-phase move, so we're not doing multiple phases, so that could kind of save some time there, too. So.
On February 25th, we can give a more update on where we are with the status and what the rest of the timeline looks like as well. But it's about right.
Our instructions to them, just so you know, is we'd like to get this moving along quickly, but it's not a rush in that we need to incur additional costs or cut corners or whatever to do it full speed ahead, but as quickly as possible.
The best case scenario going ahead. Correct.
Yeah, so we can have a timeline for you as we move forward. Any other discussions on this item? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Lennon?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
And Mayor Coulter?
Yes. Thank you. That item is adopted, and Gino, good to see you, and look forward to working with you some more.
Thank you.
Next item of business would be call to council. I see the police chief in the back of the room. Anything for the good of the city? Nothing this evening. Derek Delacourt is sitting next to him. Anything else? Nothing else. All right. I see our fire chief here this evening. Chief Sullivan, anything for the good of the city?
Mr. Mayor, Council, Fire Marshal Batten has me up here asking to remind everybody about smoke alarms. I'm going to have to read it. Currently, 98% of American homes have smoke alarms, but only 50% of them are operational, most often because someone has removed the battery. Smoke alarm facts are they should be replaced every 10 years, no matter how it's working or not. The best protection is a smoke alarm with both technologies, which is ionization for fast-growing fires and photoelectric for smoldering fires. They should not be placed near kitchens or bathrooms for unnecessary soundings. There should be one smoke alarm at every level of your home outside the sleeping area. For greatest protection, there should be one inside of every sleeping area or bedroom also. And remember, keep your bedroom doors shut, for they are for fire protection, not privacy. Although everyone uses them for privacy, they are for fire protection. Stops the spread of fire. We still have smoke alarm program in place at the fire department, but recently a couple of businesses have come forward and jumped on board in support of smoke alarm saving lives. FLAX has more than 250 smoke alarms to install in Ferndale residents' homes at no charge. You can call 248-547-1914. We also have McChesney Electric partnering with MJ White & Sons, and they've donated a dozen for distribution at no charge. And the fire department union program will change batteries for the handicapped or elderly at no charge, and we can also install the detectors. Call our business line at 248-546-2510. Thank you.
Chief, great reminder. Joe, anything from your area this evening? And I'm not even sure how to describe your area. You do kind of...
Little of this, little of that. Yes, Mayor and Council, the city will successfully deliver our Phase 2 grant component for the shared services for the EVIP grant, which will be due Thursday. The city expects to submit the grant tomorrow morning.
Very good. Thank you. Our city clerk, anything? First of all, thank you for filling in at late notice. Our city clerk fell ill this evening, and so our very capable deputy is here. Thank you for doing that. Anything you'd like to offer this evening?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. City Manager April McGrath.
Just a friendly reminder that goal setting is on Monday, February 4th at the library from 5:30 to 9:30. Joe and I are working diligently to provide you materials to prepare for, and hopefully I think we're going to be in for a really good conversation on Monday, so I look forward to seeing you all there. And, I think that's it for now, so good.
Anything from the city attorney this evening?
I have nothing this evening.
All right, thanks, Dan. Dan Martin.
Yeah, I have two things. One, I would very much like the Housing Commission to come and give a presentation. We have a relationship with them, and they haven't been here since I've been on council, so if we could extend an invitation for them to come out and present what's going on there and things they're working on. And secondly, this week is the Ferndale Blues and Music Festival, so I'd highly encourage everyone to come on out and have a good time. It promotes two fantastic charities, Michigan AIDS Coalition, which is located here in Ferndale, and Ferndale Youth Assistance. It runs through this weekend. You can check out the website at www.ferndalebluesfestival.org. I'll draw particular attention to Dino's Rib Burnout on Saturday from noon to 7 in the parking lot behind Dino's Lounge. It's always a great time, and he's always very generous with his support. And then the Ferndale High School Jazz Band and the Middle School Jazz Band plays at Kulik Center, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, the 6th at 6 p.m. But check out the calendar of events. There's all kinds of great music through town, and it are fantastic restaurants, and you can't beat the causes. So please come on out and join us.
Awesome. Thank you. Councilman Lennon.
Just one quick thing. This afternoon I received a call from a resident, and he gave me a laundry list of businesses along 9 Mile that hadn't shoveled their walks. I in turn called Derek, and he got his pen out, and he's got his crew where they're on these businesses. So I just want to remind our business owners and our residents, I think Derek's going to approach the chamber and the DDA and have them send out reminders. You have? There's a repeat offender on 9 Mile. I'll discuss it with you later. But we got to get our walk shoveled, and if you can't get it done, if you're challenged or you're a senior citizen, call Derek's office. He'll set you up with somebody. Okay? Thank you.
Good reminder. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Piana.
I have nothing for tonight.
All right. Councilman Galloway.
Not too much. Ferndale Public Schools had a successful extravaganza over the weekend and displayed a lot of our talented children's musical efforts and artistic efforts. So take an opportunity to get into the schools when you can. Extravaganza is a great opportunity. Look forward to next year. That's it.
Excellent. And as for me, I'm looking forward to being a judge at the rib burnout this Saturday, so come on down to Dino's. And as Councilman Martin said, every night this week is a venue that has some blues or other kind of music, and so come on down. It's a great time in the middle of the winter to come on down to downtown Ferndale and support our live music. This Thursday is the Mayor's Business Council. I want to thank Credit Union One for hosting us this Thursday morning, where we'll be discussing ways that Ferndale can be an even friendlier place to do business. So I look forward to that, and I want to thank Credit Union One for hosting us. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.
On Thursday? Yep. How am I doing?